Hello!
Hi! And welcome all of you to DnDTime Worlds, a show where me and Twitch chat, and now Jeremy too, builds worlds together. It's Jeremy. It's good to have you here on DnDTime Worlds.
Thanks, Pete. You know, it's good to be here on DnDTime World. I'm ready to build some worlds.
I like it here. That's the exact correct attitude to have coming in, is that's what we're going to be doing. It's building some worlds. Or really, we're building lands today, aren't we?
Yeah, they're slightly smaller than worlds, thank goodness. But yeah, like people were just saying, everyone, we're going to be building a land of DnDTime, one of the many lands of DnDTime. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I am as well. And hello to chat. Sorry we're a little bit behind coming in, but it's good to see you got people hanging out. I see Sword and Roger Twy are both here. Creativity Cal is now there in chat.
It is time we are the god. Oh,
please, Jeremy, take it away.
It is time we are the gods, and it is time to build a new world. Exactly, creativity. Time to create some cool stuff. Time to invoke our godlike powers to just make everyone who lives throughout this land very sad or happy. We can really do anything.
Jeremy, why would want to build something where everyone's sad?
I don't know, actually. Maybe it's like a cathartic release of your own pent-up rage.
I mean, that could be it. I'm gonna just be very mean to Fugthar Skull Smasher, I guess.
No, poor Fugthar!
Which is a strange spoiler for what we're going to be working with today. As me and Jerry were talking about this beforehand, and for DnDTime Worlds, we wanted to build something in the land of DnDTime. So we picked one of our, I guess you would say, defunct places in DnDTime, which was one that I came up with a really long time ago and had a couple of appearances in the extremely early days of DnDTime. And that is, actually, did it only show up once?
I believe it showed up twice.
Yeah, it might have been two. It was one or two. And that was Bigtown.
Bigtown!
If you remember Bigtown, please raise your hand in chat.
Yeah, if you're in chat and you know what Bigtown is, first, oh my god, you've been here for a long time. Secondly, let us know. But if you don't know, Pete, why don't we give them the I don't know, 2-sentence, what is Bigtown?
Bigtown is
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, I gotcha. Bigtown is a big town filled with big creatures. It was a town in which all the big creatures lived. Giants, trolls, ogres, etc.
Exactly. I imagine there are probably some dire creatures there, but that was never really established. That might be something cool to explore. But yeah, Bigtown's pretty cool. It was, I believe it was in the mountains to the north, but not the Big Rock Candy Mountains. So this was in like some other northern mountains. Maybe the mountains north of the Sacred Vale.
I don't know if the Bigtown might predate the Big Rock Candy Mountains.
It does, yeah. Bigtown predates the Big Rock Candy Mountains.
So
that's how fucking old this is, guys.
Yeah. So Bigtown is gonna have a lot of big guys in it. It's really the only thing that's true. Also, the political leader of Bigtown is Fugthar Skull Smasher, who was a very well-educated troll who wanted to bring Bigtown into the modern age, as it were, and make them more of an active player in the DnDTime political landscape. Which I guess it didn't work out for him, as it's been a while, and Bigtown has not been up to much.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. Maybe, Pete, maybe it's the opposite. Maybe it's just so in-depth with its political interweavings that we cannot even merely begin to scratch the surface with our adventure, which is why I haven't come back. It's been too successful.
That also could be the case. Either way, Bigtown appears to have, rather than becoming more open, become very insular, just by virtue of the fact that we have not seen anything going on there. But that's the area in which we're going to be kind of building today. I think we'll probably flesh out some of the some of the important NPCs that you might run into around there. We'll build up some of the just the structure of the town, some of like the architecture, because really we didn't have much fleshed out for it when I originally ran it. It was just like, this town has big houses with big doors so that big people can fit through them. It was about the extent of the world building that went into Bigtown. So I'm sure that we can come up with a lot cooler and more interesting things about how a place like this might function and be different from a kind of, a city for medium-sized creatures.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So people saying deep underground, there's a tiny town where the tiny creatures. Well, no, they live on the moon, but no.
Oh yes, of course.
They used to live on the moon.
That's a sad adventure. I enjoyed watching it, but it was a sad adventure in which all of the tiny moon people were consumed.
Yeah, and I see Maddie Morg's offering some settlement workshop prompts. Yeah, Maddie, I think we're going to just we're just gonna explore for now and try and come up with some ideas. I think the main goal here, right, because we have to think of what we're building for. So now that we are officially homebrewing world building, we really want, I think, our main goal here is to figure out things that we could play off as adventure hooks rather than trying to fully flush things out. I guess, right? Is that what we're really going for, Pete?
I think we want to build up a little bit of
it for D&D.
Yeah, exactly. We want to build up a little bit so we have a good feel of what the tone of the region is and what the place is like. And then beyond that, we want to do stuff that, might be interesting for perhaps some of you to futurely adventure in, or maybe not. We make no guarantees that Bigtown will ever actually see DnDTime.
But it is all canon.
But it is all canon. This is all true. And also, before we get any further, we are going to be doing another Ask Pete and Jeremy at the end of the stream tonight. Yeah. So if you are interested in asking a question for that, you can do so. There's a link to our Discord below the stream. And
Jeremy, put one in the old chat.
Excellent.
Too.
I was just about to request with the exclamation point Discord. You can join our Discord there, and that will you'll see the Ask Pete and Jeremy channel where you can ask us any question, be it D&D related, DM advice, or just any dumb thing you want to ask us. So please do.
Yeah. So, Pete, let's dive into this. Amy Chibi in chat is asking, are you taking ideas? Amy Chibi, of course. That's exactly what we're doing. We're going to be world building this place as a group. Twitch chat and us and everybody. So absolutely we're taking ideas. But let's just start, again, briefly going over what we know. It's a land of large and larger creatures. It is a nondescript. It's in some nondescript mountains to the north. We could flush those mountains out a lot more.
And we could probably move it, too, if we decide we need to.
It's led by a well-educated troll named Fugthar Skull Smasher, who really wants to be in the big political landscape here. He wants to be big. Creativity Cal asks, is it okay if I go on a tangent for a minute? Yeah, go ahead, Creativity. Go ahead. Oh, goodness. Hold on, copy-paste. Anybody was saying Antizon Warehouse located here with Jeff Bezos and Mark Beatlesburg? Oh, boy.
Maybe someday we'll work on some more. That's another one that I have always wanted to go deeper into the Hive. Which was
the Hive is a whole nother.
Yeah, I have so many back of my own mind plans for the Hive to do at some point. So maybe that's a future DnDTime Worlds if we decide to do this more.
Absolutely.
But for now, keep us in. We're keeping us in Bigtown. And oh no, a spider just went by. Maybe we have to.
But yeah,
they're on to me.
Let's start. I guess maybe want to start with the actual mountains themselves. And maybe we can come up with some cool ideas there.
Absolutely, I think that's a cool place to start. And so as for these mountains, I just pictured it as a mountainous terrain because when I think of giants and ogres and trolls and other things of that nature, my mind goes to mountains probably because of Magic the Gathering. I think of them as red cards, and red cards are associated with mountains. So that's why I put them there, I think, originally, was my own biases, I guess, about ogres. So I didn't have any real thoughts in mind originally. Do you have anything that like sticks out to you about what makes a mountain good for a big creature to live in?
A big creature to live in. Well, a couple of things. There could be lots of caves. That could be a good thing for mountains. Lots of things for the big creatures to eat, I imagine. So lots of big animals would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, that actually is a very good point. They would need to have big things to consume, because I imagine that's a hard city to feed.
Well, also in the chat, I'm seeing ideas, hollow up the mountain and really, really tiny mountains to make them seem even bigger. I love that idea, that these mountains are actually really tiny, are comparatively quite small.
Really, they are. Maybe they were labeled originally by halflings as mountains when most people would call them hills. Just giant hills. And talking about hollowing out the mountain, yeah, I imagine there's probably aspects of this space that are under mountain, as it were. I wouldn't necessarily say like all of it doesn't really speak to me, because I think like fresh air and being able to like look down and throw rocks. It seems like there's a lot of like natural defense just because of the physical dominance of the creatures that live there that they would have an advantage of, you know, like being able to like, just look down and overview their domain.
Yeah, but maybe I like this idea though, right, of hollowed out the mountain. Maybe they use that for something. Maybe they use the inside of the mountains for like agriculture or whatever. That could be a really interesting use. So I think some aspect of the society utilizes the hollowed out insides of the mountain. Insides of the mountains. So like agriculture, maybe?
I mean, for one thing, obviously they're mining. If we're talking mountains, then mining seems like a major chunk of business.
Do we want it to be mining, though?
Do we want them to have... I guess that's a question of what level of technology do we want them to be at? Do we want them to have, like, swords and shields and be able to, like, manufacture goods and have smiths and things? Because that's something that some giants, like, traditionally in the lore, forges are a big part of what it means. For example, fire giants.
Yeah, they use the heat of the mountains. And actually, I saw Matty Morgs was saying something about kind of like that in chat. Kind of a Mount Fuji kind of feel where they like you can utilize the heat of the mountain to do things.
That could be very cool. That could be very cool. Also, I just think that's a rad aesthetic.
So kind of fire giant-y. Oh boy, we're getting a lot of ideas here.
All right, to
only ogres and trolls can fit in. Maybe the giants are too big. Oh, that's actually, I love that a lot, actually. So maybe there's like the hierarchy, and it's literally the hierarchy.
Hey!
Okay, this is a pun I can roll with. I like this.
Yeah, that's really inspiring.
This is a good pun.
Avalon says, does DnDTime have a scientifically advanced civilization? Because I think it'd be fun to have them be super smart and slightly more advanced. We have the Trigonomes, who are kind of... I don't know if there's a reason why these people also can't be... Maybe, like, there's a way to make them interesting in that regard, and also...
Maybe they're, like different. Culturally advanced. Because
that's exactly what
technologically.
That's exactly the direction that I wanted to go. And I like the idea that in their insularity for the last several years, they've become just, like, a very like cultural region with a lot of like
I like this a lot, like art and stuff.
Art with very intricate social structure.
And so okay, I'm getting this idea, right? That like, okay, maybe so we have this hollowed out inside the mountain. Part of society uses that, and it's mostly ogres and trolls can fit here, can fit in the mountains, in the caves rather, but are lower on the hierarchy.
Does being lower on the hierarchy?
And yes, I'm intentionally spelling hierarchy like this, chat. Don't worry, I'm not. I know how to spell hierarchy.
No, this is very good. Now, if they are lower on the hierarchy, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a bad thing, because you want to be big in Bigtown.
Do you want to be big in Big Town, or the big town's jealous of the smaller things they have more places they can go?
No.
Then why? So why would? Because it seems to me like.
Oh, but why is Fugstar Skull Smasher in charge then?
Because also like.
The bigs are jealous of the smalls.
I feel like they're jealous of the smalls, and like being big in Big Town. Like, yeah, anyone can be big in Big Town.
Okay. The talls are jealous of the smalls. All right. We're getting some stuff here that I think we can absolutely play off of.
Then what does it mean when like a human comes?
They're not big though. You have to be small, but still big.
You have to be big.
So like a Goliath that's like, oh, I'm 10 feet tall, but I'm a medium creature, bad. But like an ogre that's like 11 feet tall, but a large creature is good.
That's where the lines draw. You have to be as small, as close
size
as you can
category large
as
minimum.
As close as you can get to the line of size category large. And then what happens if you're in, like, for example, if the world's shortest giant was born that was like 9 feet and he wasn't size category large, or would he be like unto a god to them? Or is or is there a limit?
I think well, okay.
Well, also I like this almost like Price is Right-esque, as close as you can get without going over.
Maybe we'd find that out in a weird adventure. At some point. Let's see. Ivalon saying, what's that movie when the explorers discover a lost society that think the explorers are gods? I have no idea. I mean, I imagine quite a few.
Are you talking about El Dorado? From DreamWorks, the animated picture El Dorado? That is one of my favorite movies. I love that movie.
I like tonight. 9/11, Too Small Peasant 10.0. My God, they're divine. Let's see. Agreed if you're under 10 feet, outcast. I mean, that sounds like a DnDTime adventure there, right? Like a stone giant who was born just a little too short and was outcast from Bigtown and has to show them they are big of spirit or something so that they can come back home. That might be neat. And looks like Roger, you were correct. El Dorado was what they were looking for. Can the man with a lake underground?
It was the man who would be king, apparently.
Oh, never mind. You guys, never mind. I was totally wrong. It was not El Dorado. Wait, maybe they based El Dorado on it. I don't know. I like Amy Chibi's idea here. I'm gonna put that in.
The mountain have an underground lake that is connected to a river. Otherwise, it is going to be hard to have a water supply. Absolutely. And I imagine like being able to go into the large but not giant tunnels is what makes these people valuable. And it's like, oh, well, they can go within like the mountain, which is kind of our life bringer, it looks like in this case, because that's where our water supply is, and that's where we're doing agriculture, and that's where like the things that allow us to thrive as a society are located.
Yeah, and I'm seeing, I like Matty Morris was kind of going with that kind of more Asian theme here, saying snow melt and aqueduct, rice paddy pools could work too. Yeah, I almost like, I'm kind of getting in this direction, right? Where like it is an underground like agricultural thing under these mountains, and that could be really cool.
I want to build off of something creativity Cal is saying here, because I think our current like you have to be exactly a certain height for you to be at like the top of the hierarchy. I think that I really like this idea that we have a secret society of shorties who secretly run the city in a deep state Illuminati type thing. I think our ogres of the world, who are the shortest of the giants, are Illuminati. And since the giants aren't tall enough to go in and do what they would consider like menial labor, they're like, oh, we're on top of the hierarchy. They work for us. But really, they're like controlling things within the mountain.
So the hierarchy is actually...
It's two-pronged.
It's put in place it's instituted actually by the ogres to make the giants feel like they're in charge. When really the ogres have all the power.
Exactly.
Oh no, this is getting
power behind the throne.
This is some super double think here.
I love that. I really like that.
Welcome to 1984, the land of D&D time. This is not what I thought this was going to end up. This is why they've been so insular the whole time.
Well, yeah, that's exactly. This makes sense. This is like they've just become this. They've become a much different society.
So the ogres / trolls secretly run everything and use the concept of the hierarchy to lull the giants into a false state of
and I like the idea that, like, if you're small enough to, like, fit into the Undercity, it's like an Eden in there. It's like it's so much better than the larger area on top of the mountains. And it's like once you go in, you're in the club and you can't spill the beans.
Well, and even then the giants wouldn't believe it. They live under the mountains. I'm loving this. All are all big agricultural things they use to eat. I don't know. Maybe there are mushrooms, maybe moss. There's a lot of things we could do with this. Big cow farm, everybody was saying. Maybe. Do they eat meat, or is this a vegetarian society?
Yeah, Maddie was, I think, recommending earlier vegetarian. That could be
very interesting.
Maybe like vegetarianism is becoming like, maybe that's like a new thing, and the giants are kind of getting used to eating
shorties. They know.
Well, I feel like they're the ones that would be pushing us in a more vegetable direction.
Mm-hmm. I see. V-Bunny was suggesting it, and Maddie Moore just pointed it out. Yeah, I like this. So trying to steer the society in a. Is there focus on like renewable? Like, is that like their goal here, or what's their reasoning for vegetarian society here?
Sustainability?
Do they care? Like, is that like
do
a
we
factor?
Want them to?
I'm just trying to think of like what's their motivation, right? Because like it could be sustainability, but that's such like a real world modern concept. Maybe they're very worried about warming of the lands of D&D time, and no one else in the lands of D&D time.
They're the first ones. Well, I like the idea that because Fugthar Skull Smasher's whole thing, to go back to the origin of this character and to like work him into why this would be how things ended up under his rule. This was a character that was really trying to push them in like a more, because for example, the way he got elected was it was just a brutal fight to the death between everyone who wanted to fight. And he's like, I'm bad at fighting, but I need to win this so I can like make us less barbaric and start to like make us more civilized. So maybe this is like his sort of,
it's like we're not barbarians to the outside lands.
And he's slowly trying to, along with like the smaller giants, are slowly trying to kind of convince the bigger giants, like, no, this is the more advanced way to live, the better way to live. You don't need to eat flesh. You can just have food grow out of the ground right next to you. Like, it's almost trying to like gaslight the more powerful giants into thinking this is the more like strong way to live.
Mm-hmm.
And change the culture from the ground up.
Oh, good. Yeah, Ivalon, maybe because they eat other races like humans and elves, and he wants them to have better relations. Yeah, I mean, that would definitely help as well.
Yeah, that'd be a thing.
I think that all ties into this less barbaric perspective to the outside kingdoms. But yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Creativity Cal was saying that maybe there's a faith where closest to God is determined by education. I think when it comes to this religious side of things, in D&D time, we generally don't go into that deeply just because that is a big topic. And we'd rather just really go there outside of very, very shallow, goofy notions of it. So thank you, but I think we're gonna leave that one out of this one particular. Maybe in the future for another topic.
Because there's also so many people that bring their own gods, and we try to like not mess with any pantheons or build anything like that. Also, yeah, it's always strange building in the land of D&D time, because one of the things is that everyone brings their own world to the table a little bit here in the land of D&D time. So you have to really build with the idea of you can't make something that would invalidate anything else that could like come in the future. It has to be a very open thing.
Well, let's talk about their cult. So these guys aren't technologically superior, but they are culturally superior. And I mean, maybe superior is the wrong term, but advanced,
yes.
Right? In what ways are we going to talk about them being culturally advanced? So obviously they have this like double think secret society that runs them, right? They have this kind of advanced agricultural side of things. But what about the lands of Bigtown? And actually, let me put this up here in the top so it just stays. What about that is really culturally advanced, right? What's their big deal?
So to begin, I think the obvious way to go would be, when you think of culture, you think of the arts and things like that. Mm-hmm. Jeremy, how do you feel about them being advanced philosophically? They've become like real sophists in their isolation.
Oh my goodness. Oh, philosophers. Oops, I went too far. That is an excellent starting point. Philosophers, and like I imagine there are like patrons of philosophy. Right, they're like the wealthy nobles, like nobility are patrons of.
You hire someone to sit around and think grandiose thoughts.
Exactly, right? And maybe there's like philosophy battles.
I imagine there's certainly, I mean, it's like Socratic seminars, things like that. Amy Chibi was saying, but the thing is, biologically speaking, I don't think a giant can actually be sustained on vegetables alone. How about they can also eat rocks and minerals? I feel like there could be, like, I don't know if every giant, like, I don't know if ogres and stuff eat rocks and minerals, but I feel like stone giants probably eat rocks.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to worry too much about the
the details there.
Like the total realism of it. This is the land of D&D time. It's a silly place.
It is a silly place. Ivalon says, I want a Socrates ogre. I'm sorry, I pronounced that wrong. I want a Socrates ogre.
Hurt me there, Pete.
Dude,
you hurt me a lot.
Socrates is my favorite philosopher.
Yeah, maybe we can make that NPC. What do we want to name them?
Oh, that's a great question. I see the idea of Fugthar Skull Smasher being this like forward-thinking politician. Mm-hmm. I kind of like that naming convention of they still have these hereditary names that are like really like heavy giant names.
But Socrates, so good.
That is extremely good. Please write
such
it down.
A good name.
Please write it down.
Thank you, Avalon, for your generous donation of this beautiful name.
We're taking it and we're never giving it back.
it's the land of D&D times now. What do we want to do with Socrates? So we're tying into these philosophy battles. What are the philosophy battles going to be like, right? Because I think we need to have an idea as to how we can use these for like our adventures, right? How would we run an adventure that had to do with a philosophy battle? Any ideas, Pete?
I'm sorry, I was fighting a spider. There's a spider that's stalking me in my house right now, and I'm very scared.
How would the windblower is another great one. Putting that on the list. Sounds like an excellent philosopher right there.
I like Roger Twy's Occam Razor Master.
All right, we'll put him on there as well. Aristoger is not too bad either from B-Buddy. There's a lot of these already.
Are these philosophy battles? This is like the direction the culture has gone.
No. Pete. These are underground philosophy battles in the Undercity.
Oh, these are Undercity philosophy battles.
These are underground. They're philosophy battles. That's all I can say.
So really the tone that I'm getting for this city is like the Overcity and all the big giants up there are kind of just like, haha, we're giant, powerful giants. And then you go under the city and it's just a completely like almost different place. It's just like, oh yes, they just kind of stand guard. And they don't really know what happens in the other city.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think that like that works to me. Maybe we can flush them out a little bit more on the top side, but I think both sides think that they have it in the bag and that they're getting the most out of the other side, right?
Indeed.
But I think like maybe both sides are totally aware of what's going on. Like the giants up above are like, yeah, we know that like they live in this place and they do, but they also grow all the food and feed us, so we don't have to do anything.
They have
we just have to be strong, which we like doing anyway.
Yeah, they have kind of a like the rats will do what they will down in their caves, like.
Yeah, exactly, right. It's just they just maybe don't care so much.
This reminds me, if anyone has seen Community a little bit, there's an entire like faction at the community college that's the School of Air Conditioning Repair, and it's like way nicer than the rest of the school for like the rest of the college, and like when they're interviewing the when there's discussion with the leader of the School of Air Conditioner Repair, he has a line that's like, while we were learning to keep our superiors comfortable, at some point we found out how to keep ourselves comfortable too. Like, that's the vibe I get from this very much.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think that works very well here.
That's played by John Goodman. It's a very good scene.
I have not seen it, unfortunately.
Yes.
Let's see. We're talking about, this talks about sports. Maybe. I'm not sure. That might be something that, like, the upper city in Gate has a lot of, like, sport kind of deal.
I was
the
also
Olympics.
Is to kind of like,
boy.
It's all ogre now. This is now going to be the ogre pun zone, Jeremy. We've opened a can of worms. Now, for the philosophy battles, do you think that are these well kind of tamed? Are these like well-tamed like discussions where people are like just bringing different ideas to light and speaking about like the nature of creation and reality? Or are these more battles where like someone will be like, I think that the universe is like this. I think it's like this. Whoever wins this fight gets to be right. Is there some like semblance of that kind of like more combative ogre nature that's typical in this? Or are these very civilized sort of affairs?
I imagine this is like a very like, yeah, more combative. It's just it's the same ogre brutality, but it's all through their voice.
It's entirely spoken.
Yeah, I mean, I think like the normal philosophy, right? Like their normal philosophizing is very peaceful and relaxed. But when they get into a philosophy battle, the gloves come off.
Literally and figuratively?
I don't know. Probably both.
Yeah.
I imagine like here's my thought, right? As much as these secret society of the shorties that run the Illuminati people, as much as they are more advanced and whatever, they still are ogres and trolls. And I imagine sometimes, especially when they lose, they can get a little bit what do you call it?
Physical.
Yeah, a little physical, some might say. Let's see. I think we're getting a little caught up in the weeds here about these, and I think it's something that like we would discover as we're going to run an adventure for it, as to what really inspires us in the moment to run the adventure. Because I think we can take this in a lot of different ways.
But I think we have
that we have philosophy battles.
Yeah, I think we have a good idea that there are philosophy battles. And
yeah,
in that case,
I was gonna say, do we want to like try and figure something out about some of these NPCs? I want to discover who Fartus the Windblower is.
Well then let's get into it.
Pete, who's Fartus the Windblower?
Fartus the Windblower is decidedly a And Oni.
Fartis, I think an Oni is a good call for Fartis.
There are Onis. Onis are not.
Yeah, they're giants.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
So maybe Fartis tries to like proselytize his like the greater underground stuff to the giants up above, but they just don't listen to him, and they just call him the Windblower.
Oh, I like that.
So he tries to out the society of shorties,
and it's kind of like speaking out about how they're is he like kind of against the shorter side of things, because he would be on the size of that, so he's kind of an outcast.
Exactly. I imagine like that the giants down there, right? They kind of like look down almost on like the fire giant's craft, because it's not intellectual, right? It's a physical craft. And I think Fartis is like, no, all of the giants. He's very much an outcast of the society of shorties, but he's a much more like open-minded character, right? He's a little bit more inclusive.
I feel like and I feel like he's at this point like wanted.
Oh yeah.
Because also that matches the Oni. Because when I picture the Oni aesthetic, they're very much like walking around at night in the cloaks and stuff with the blue skin, and he's there kind of like spreading his word.
He's skeevy as heck.
Yeah, he's there spreading his word under the cover of night, as Onis do.
I imagine like his one like dark side is he still likes to eat children, because he is an Oni.
Is that what Onis do? Is that their lore?
Eat children. That's their like lore. Is they steal children around the night and devour them.
That's sad.
And he kind of feels bad about it.
I like the idea of a dramatic scene with him where it's like he's interacting with the party and like, is this wrong? I ask myself this every day. Just yes, no, it's terrible. Because what does it mean to take a life? No, it's objectively you're doing terrible things.
I like this a lot. Of course, Chunks and he's like, nope, totally fine.
Yeah. Knowing some of the players in DnDTime, they'd just be like, no, eating kids is okay. Well, actually, Jeremy, I just realized something.
Mm-hmm.
He can't eat kids.
Maybe.
This is DnDTime.
Maybe he just eats baby goats.
They're still They're still babies, though, aren't they?
No, but goats don't get immunity.
Why goats?
No, animals don't get immunity.
Do animals not get kid immunity?
Nah, you gotta be sentient to get immunity.
I guess so. We'll discuss this particular nuance later.
But yeah, well, before we dive too much into it, I think like that's enough to get a good idea of who Fartis the Windblower is. I can already run an adventure either when you're helping Fartis or trying to get Fartis. The Illuminati sends you to kill Fartis the Windblower. That would be a very good adventure. But
absolutely.
Oh, Aristoger is an Etten who argues with himself. Oh boy. That's a good one. And pardon me, hiccups. A couple of things. Matty Morse had mentioned the Stone Giant baseball team. I'm gonna put. Oh my goodness, full of hiccups. I'm gonna put that up there, Matty, because come on, we love our Stone Giant baseball teams. I'm sorry, ball game teams. It's the same thing as baseball, but it's ball game in London.
There's only one sport.
But I saw there was a comment in chat by Amy Chibi that a lot of other people really liked, and that was the idea that they maybe play chess with animated humanoid rocks in a giant chess arena. A kind of a perfect blend of intellect and brawn. So the pieces like battle each other, but the
I like that a lot for sure.
I
imagine some of the brawn is also just the pieces are animated, but they probably still have to move them. So it's just if you're not strong enough, you can't like play this game of chess.
Oh, I thought it was more like you command them, right? Like knight to d4 or whatever.
I like the idea of them having to physically lift them up, and then like when you put them there, it still has that Harry Potter style. They animate and beat the other one up. Because then it does actually test both then, where there is sort of a bottom line gate, that ability to do it. But I mean, I could see it either way.
So feat of brain and brawn, animated pieces, battle, and then
maybe there's a group of security guards called Troll and Ogre, made of the trolls who arrest the outlaws and the ogres who prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law. I do believe this is a Law and Order joke, although I've never actually seen... I don't think I've ever seen a Law and Order episode.
Honestly, when you said Troll and Ogre, I didn't immediately think Law and Order. I thought of like a law firm, and that just sounds like a hilarious adventure.
The legal battle, the intense legal battle for whatever arbitrary thing is going on in the city.
Maybe like it's some very mundane thing, and the players have to just like be private investigators because they're so small they can get into places unseen, and they have to like sneak in and get all the clues and stuff, and they can't just kill everyone because other than they'd just be murdering people, and not good for the case. Might be an interesting adventure right there.
You do that.
I'm gonna put that on there because I'm really inspired by that.
And Amy Chibi was saying, in the underground, we got some ogress selling diamond dust as an actual drug.
Oh no! It seems like this underground is a very like fast and loose area. We've got our philosophy battles, the stone chess matches, the stone giant chess matches, and
hey, you want some glimmer?
Diamond dust. Some glimmer? Is that what you called it?
Glimmers, yeah.
Let's see. Oh yeah, solving disputes. Where do we want this chess match to be? Is this also in the underground area?
Yeah, I imagine
the ball game team is in the upper area.
Yeah. That's good old fashioned sports. I think our chess is probably in the lower area, and maybe this is their ball game team. People like come to watch chess matches.
Yeah, no, I think that would make sense. I mean, we have our two large kind of games, and I can already see a bunch of ways in which these kind of these adventures might kind of tie in. Actually, it reminds me a lot of the Great Big Chess Tournament adventure that you were talking.
Yes, the first ever.
A lot we could do.
Yeah,
we ran it actually those 2 times. I should have said.
Yeah, the second time as well. Let's.
Yeah.
So think about what other big creatures there are. So let's just talk really quick and maybe make a list of what are all the things that can be in Bigtown. What are the denizens of Bigtown?
Yeah, so let's make it. Boop. Denizens of Bigtown. So obviously we've got ogres.
Yep, we got ogres, trolls, giants.
I don't think we have
any kind of giant that isn't, or do we have all of the giants?
I don't think cloud giants. Where would the cloud giants be?
So I guess that's the question. Is it just the ones that would be traditionally evil, like our storm giants here, the biggest giants? Because I don't picture storm giants as being kind of like aesthetically part of this. Stone giants I see. Cloud giants I'm closer on, but less. Fire giants I'm on the fence on, honestly.
I think fire and frost giants would make sense to me.
Yeah, okay, I can get behind it. I imagine they have districts probably for those two. There's Oni Ogres Trolls, Cyclops.
Because, I mean, I'm looking at this, right? Yeah, Cyclops for sure. I'm looking at this right now, and if we got rid of the Fire and Frost Giants, it's just Stone Giants, and, like, it'd be really weird that the only surface dwellers are the Stone Giants.
Reflection today had the one that I was the most interested in, on what your opinion was, which was Fomorian.
Ooh.
Because they're kind of their own thing, but also they feel pretty right for it. Like,
yeah, Fomorians are kind of weird because they are the Underdark giant, and they've in traditional Dungeons and Dragons, or rather in the Forgotten Realms and a lot of other more traditional Dungeons and Dragons settings, Fomorians have like a deep backstory with the Feywild and being outcast rulers, basically, of the Fey. And I really love that. I really love using that. It's very interesting to me.
you think they're too lore rich?
Well, they have a lot more specificity in their lore than the other giants necessarily. I mean, the other giants have a lot of stuff to them, the ordning and whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily want to put them here personally.
Yeah,
I'd still like to use them someplace else, I think, where they are the centerpiece, because they're terrifying.
yeah, I can see that. And then that's another great one from Matty Morgs here. We have Empyreon.
Ooh, yeah, I think there's a couple Empyreon that live here. That makes sense. I mean, they're basically like demigods, but
They're at the top of the hierarchy.
Yeah, exactly. They're those Adonis-like giants that are like, yes, we benefit the most from this. And the ogre's like, yeah. Are the ogres legendarily stupid like they typically would be, or are they actually very smart here? I think they're very smart.
I like the idea that they're in a period of transition.
Forgot hill giants.
I really like the idea. Yeah, of course. Those are the
Thank you,
giants.
Ivalon. My brain.
I like the idea that they're in a period of transition where the like, for example, the philosophical battles are between like ogres and trolls and things like that, and they're not speaking brilliantly, but they're really trying their best. And as generations continue and Bigtown continues, probably someday they'll start becoming like truly brilliant philosophers. But right now, there's still a lot of that kind of about them.
I gotcha. So, like, would a stone giant philosophy, like, just like statement of truth, is the sky really blue, or does it just reflect the ocean? Is that like a hill giant or an ogre philosophy, or is that too deep?
I feel like that is kind of around the level that I was talking about. Like,
gotcha.
We're
not talking about like
big rock fall fast and small rock also fall fast, but they are different sizes. They are the same rock. Like that kind of thing where they're like figuring stuff out, but they're trying. Because I think that's more fun than them just all being brilliant philosophers. Also, we're not brilliant philosophers, so when we run this, we want to make it attainable.
Yep. A lot of comments here about some orcs. I think, orcs are really hard. I think I would put them kind of like, I don't think there are orcs here. Because, I don't know, I just don't think they're orcs. What do you think, Pete?
What about orcs are probably too small. They're medium. They're too small.
Yeah, they're too small.
But Oberlon, V-Buddy was saying, Scrag V-Buddy, I think that's a proper noun. I think that's just a particular guy. But Oberlon defo, I think, would be in here.
Well, Oberlon are just like, they're half giants, right?
I think they're half ogre, half orc, I thought.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, sure, we can put them on there.
When an ogre mates with a human, hobgoblin, bugbear, or orc.
There you go. That's really weird because the orcs are very much... Anyway. I was going to talk about genealogy with orcs, but we're not talking about that right now. Oh, the N7. I got bored and I figured the gelatinous cubes are kind of like dungeon Roombas. Haven't seen them the same since. That's a fair point. Also, thank you very much for your royal 5-bit donation.
Thank you so much.
Dungeon Roombas.
I mean, it's pretty.
It's valid. Correct. Aquatic giants. Yeah, I mean, we could do something with aquatic giants. I don't know how It's a kind of funky thing to put here. Where would they exist? In the lake?
Aquatic giants.
Oh, I see. Scrag are marine trolls. That's exactly.
Oh, I thought Scrag was a troll, a particular troll.
Durgar that are permanently embiggened. I don't know. I think at this point, we've gotten a very good list here. We've got a very healthy pile of options. So yeah, let's move on to our next topic, because I think we've got a healthy pile here of like giant creatures that we can use to make this place feel.
Yeah, and I imagine also things like a Durgar that's been permanently made big. These are the kind of details that we'll put in like the moment as like a key thing adventure. That's like an NPC, I would feel like.
Let's make that NPC.
Well, actually, I was gonna throw out Jeremy about halfway point. You want to just take 5 and take a break and then come right back?
Sure. Let me just write this permanently embiggened so we don't forget.
So we know.
Yeah, that's an adventure hook right there. And maybe when we come back, we can like come up with some adventure hooks. Yeah, things that we might want to dive onto in the future. That might be a really good place to start. So guys, we'll be right back. Then stay tuned. We'll be back in like 5 minutes, and then we'll keep flushing out Bigtown. We'll see you in a sec.
See you soon.
Hi, everyone.
Okay. Yes,
We're returned.
we are back.
We have
We're ready.
recentered our inner selves, and we're ready to roll. Pete, I love this part. I like this part a lot. Let's come up with some adventure hooks.
All right.
So, before we had last left, Matty Morks had mentioned a Durgar has been permanently embiggened. What about that character is going to be part of our adventure hook? Do we think? Something went wrong and they're trying to fit in. Yeah,
something that's going to, something that's going to, I think, be consistently part of our adventure hooks here is just the theme in Bigtown is always probably going to be size, right?
Absolutely.
I can't imagine that not being a major component unless we're really getting deep on like the philosophy aspect and playing into the comedy of ogre philosophers. But so let's talk about this Durgar that's been made big. Are they trying to fit in? Is that like more of a defense thing where they found themselves in the city and then they just kind of were like, no, I'm one of you, and made themselves big?
I think the gimmick is, right, they've been permanently embiggened, and so they moved to Bigtown because they're permanently embiggened. And so this sounds like a fun adventure where we could like go through the different parts of the town and try and find a place for the Durgar to fit in. And it's basically just a whirlwind tour through Bigtown.
Okay, so you're picturing more of
I mean, they're just trying to figure out where they're going to move.
Or like, this is just a dude that's just trying to find a nice, pleasant place for themselves.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, that works.
Find a place to live. V-Bunny has an adventure hook. Aristogar needs help defending himself. One other philosopher in a philosophy battle. And just really needs the help to get there.
Defeating himself. Because he had said before that he's an Etten. It's I mean, what more direct representation of philosophy than an Etten that disagrees with himself?
I mean, that works, but how does the adventure work?
Well, let me throw another hook at you, Jeremy. The giants all think they're getting bigger, but there's just a rogue wizard that's going around and making their houses smaller. Just making things smaller in Bigtown to confuse people.
Okay. All right. Somebody is shrinking things.
Yeah, reflected today, it's the duality of man. Or giant. Yeah, in this particular case.
Someone is shrinking things in Bigtown. Yeah, that would absolutely work. That could be a fun adventure. And maybe, like you said, it's a rogue wizard. Maybe
I mean,
kind of thing.
Threw a thing out because I assume that tracking down the individual there and finding out what their whole deal is would be the thing. Trolloc Holmes.
All right, we'll put that in there. Trolloc Holmes, who argues to help him root out a society of outcasts known as the Shorties. All right, that absolutely could work. That could be a cool intro to them as a faction. What else would make a good kind of adventure hook here? So we kind of skip past. Sorry, go ahead, Pete.
If you're not tall enough, do you get outcast?
Yes.
In that case, to kind of build on what Creativity Cal was saying right there, I picture like if there's a bunch of the whole like where all the outcasts that weren't big enough to be part of Bigtown live. I imagine like the adventure there isn't finding them, but like the morality of taking this person away and all these other people that are there just like trying to survive. Being like, turns out we made a mistake. You are big enough. But then there would be like a lot of drama in just, going and seeing these people that are exiled from their home.
Well, I think it is. The Shorties are the ones that are ruling everything, right? They're the secret society underground.
I thought he was... I thought he
I
was
think
saying,
that's what
like,
we're talking about.
oh, well, then, yeah. I mean, there's going to be, I assume, a lot of adventures that you run in that whole zone. That's such a significant part.
Interesting. Yeah, all right. So let's talk about that morality one. You brought up another one there, Pete, and that is could be that like, okay, so what do they have to do? Do they have to kick someone out of Bigtown because they're too short, or do they have to get someone like someone
That's
wants?
that's
so mean.
Time. Well, it's such a D&D time adventure hook too. Like, we hired you because we don't want to tell this person that they're too short to live in Bigtown. So go bring them to the outcast zone. There's something is that I think one of us would absolutely do that.
So the council of giants, and maybe that's what like the people on the surface are. They're the council of giants. Is banishing somebody for being too short.
And they're not going quiet, so.
Yep. The party has to handle it. And that can go in a lot of different ways. Maybe the adventure is, the person is hiring you to like, no, we have to convince them I'm taller. Or maybe it's something other thing. We can do a whole bunch of different stuff with this. It's the medium-large shanty town. Oh, God. Oh, jeez. It's just the very, very tall, medium creatures, slums, just outside of Bigtown.
That's where all the furbolgs live.
Someone's slipping burgers into the food supply.
Oh, no.
I mean, that does sound like a D&D time adventure. See, a theme park made for the bigs. We could maybe do something like that. We did do a theme park adventure fairly recently, though. Oh, God, an elderly ogre has hunched below 10 feet. You know what must be done. Oh, God. Maybe visitors can enter the city just no matter their height, Creativity Cal says, but only the tall can be citizens. Yeah, and I think that's something we need to talk about and maybe we'll take a brief break from the adventure description or the adventure for a second. And that is like the rule of law in Bigtown.
Yeah.
So like, talk about... how do the Bigtownians feel about the small folk?
The small folk meaning those not from Bigtown.
Yes.
Adventurers and things coming in. I imagine that, there's probably some distrust there. Because we kind of, Bigtown is canonically, Bigtown is just reopening, essentially. Like, they're re-engaging in the world after having this period of cultural upheaval. So I imagine there's a lot of distrust there, but if there's adventurers going there through Bartholomew's contracts, then also odds are that they're aware that they're there and they're allowed to be in the space, but people in that town are probably like, oh, look at how small they are. It's terrifying.
Distrust, fear. Kind of like an elephant afraid of a mouse.
Like some of the largest, like the Empyreans are saying things, they could just be like hiding in your boots or something. Like, there's...
Yep. I like this. I like this a lot, Pete. I also kind of like the idea that this kind of maybe stems from, like, why was Bigtown founded originally?
Bigtown originally was founded in my own canon for what it was when it started was is just all the big races were friends and they all wanted to live in the same place. It's just like, this is just where the big races lived.
Okay.
That was it.
Thinking, like, okay, there's no, like, we're being hunted by the small people. There's anything about that. It's just...
Canonical, I'm saying,
they're just chill.
We can
I like it. I like it. They're just chill. No, I'm a fan.
It was just like, yeah, that's just where we all
all the small people have towns. We want a town.
Yeah, well, it's also like we get to make a town where everything's the way that we want it to be, which is to say big.
Yeah, no, I dig it. They were just getting really annoyed. Like, they try and live in Central City, and all these doors are way too small.
Nothing's designed for them. Sokoto, are you kidding me? What is this, a city for ants?
I really like 10-8. The man roaches, season and death rope, screams. It's an ant! A giant shoe comes flying at you.
HES, can one NPC have a hippo as a pet? The answer is absolutely.
Let's go to our dudes up here.
Kind of aesthetically, the vibe that I'm getting from Bigtown in the way that we've been approaching it is that it's a much more like lush area than I originally pictured, which was like a craggy mountain with like some ramshackled houses on it. It seems like we're almost going direction because people were talking about like rice paddies and things like that.
Well, I think that's the underground, Pete. The underground.
Well, that's the underground.
Is a verdant Eden.
But is the above ground also like green? Are these green mountains? I
don't think so. Well, they're hills, so maybe
green mega big hills.
Really very big green hills. No, I don't think so. I like the idea that like the above ground is very like kind of craggy, nondescript mountain. Like
it is what you'd expect it to be.
Yeah, like gravelly, just rocky mountains.
Okay,
but that works. Maybe no snow, but
well, the reason I'm saying is like this is a thing we never dove into, but we had just started to talk when we first started here about animals around Bigtown. Do we want to have like because we were just talking about hippos? What's the wildlife like up in this zone? They're big birds.
Maybe. I mean, I assumed they were. At first we were thinking like, the land of the big things, but I don't think we necessarily have to do that. I think it could just be like normal. It's like there are like mountain goats and things. It's
just an environment and that's in the mountains.
Yeah, I mean, like, and this is an interesting point, and a really cool question to bring up here, because I think there's a point where you can get carried away trying to add things, and when everything is an exception, nothing's an exception, and it's just an amalgamation. It's just kind of a heap of ideas, and it doesn't come together cohesively. Yeah.
So I even when we're kind of ultimately when we run this, me and Jeremy will inevitably like pare down and like try refine this to a point where it has like a clear idea of what Bigtown is.
Yeah, I think there's certain things that you just got to stop and say, all right, you know what? This part's more normal. I think an NPC having a hippo as a pet, that's just hilarious.
Oh yeah,
I'm just down with that. But it's like you have the evil the diamond dust like kingpin underground, and instead of being the diamond dust cartel.
I like Popo Potato's statement here. You know how in small towns all people love putting things on the top shelf? Well, Bigtown has all their stuff on the bottom because for some reason people love inconvenience. That's really funny.
Yep.
Matty Morgs has a really good adventure hook here. Batiri-style goblins invade and cause trouble, as many may not know that they're a stack of goblins in large robes, coats, and armor. That was absolutely on my list of things I wanted to talk about here, which was the stacked halflings. I love the idea of an adventure hook, and I guess it's spoiled now and we can't use it, but I like the idea of adventure hook being a lot of strange newcomers have been in Bigtown with very small heads, and they've been walking around Bigtown with small heads. We usually get the bottom of what the deal on these newcomers is. And then they're just a bunch of people stacked in your classic big coat style.
Yep. I love it. Yeah. So, all right. So we kind of got lost on the rule of law things. How do they feel about the small folk? We know they distrust and they fear them, but otherwise it's okay to be there, right?
Yeah.
Or no.
No, I think it's okay to be there.
I don't know. Don't be a medium-sized creature on the streets of Bigtown after dark, or they'll get you.
I feel like it has that tension, but it's not like spoken of.
Gotcha. So it's like it's dangerous is really what I'm getting at. Dangerous for medium creatures.
Yeah,
At least in the upper city or just anywhere.
For probably in the upper city, and I mean for normal sized creature, for like normal people it would be, but I think for the adventurers it's probably going to be of the tone like.
Yeah, well, I mean they're not respected. Adventurers not respected.
Yeah. So that implies if the adventurers aren't respected though, then kind of why are they getting hired in the area? Is it just like
overall they're not respected?
Yeah, is it in the general but not the specific? Is that the idea that you're?
Yeah, well, I think the upper giants, right? They have an idea that like that they made their own kind of whatever, right? They're giants. They're big. They're important. They've made their own way. But maybe like, and it's in the undercity with like the trolls and the ogres stuff that want better like public outward relations that maybe are a little more friendly. I imagine most of the adventures are going to come through the undercity just because they spent so much time flushing them out, as opposed to the upper. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's more of that's more of a what's the term that I'm looking for? Just something that you pass through. You just kind of go through the upper city to get to the undercity. You know?
Exactly. And maybe some of the adventures involve players going up into the upper city for some reason. But like, for example, silence Fartus the Windblower. Or whatever. Man, these are really evil people we've made. Jeez. This is like a dark society that we've built here.
I feel like, in my mind, it isn't, and it's just you can look at it from a bad angle, but I think you can also look at it from a brighter angle.
That's valid. Let's see.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about what does it look like? What's Bigtown look like? So we're kind of picturing it as, barren in a way, just kind of like craggy mountain range. A lot of grays, occasional patches of scrubby grass, that sort of thing. Is that kind of what you were thinking?
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense for the upper city. And that's where all of like the true giants, I guess for lack of a better term, live.
Yeah, and
I think they like that term, true giants.
What does the town itself look like? What is the architectural style that you're seeing? Is it like big houses? Are the things made of stone? Are they made of wood? They're in a pretty like isolated area, so there's probably not a lot of like if it's not a lush area, then there's not a lot of like trees and things to build homes. But also stone architecture seems a little more elaborate than I was originally picturing for Bigtown. I was picturing just like a rustic medieval village, but very big, was what I had pictured originally for Bigtown.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking very much kind of the same deal for the upper city. You know, there's not like a lot of fancy architecture or anything there, but rural Swiss. Oh, so just like nice little cottages and things. That might be an interesting take on it, public potatoes. Because I guess the idea is how like, for lack of a better term, slummy is the upper city versus the undercity, which is going to be this very rich. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
I think I'd rather it be more suburban than slummy.
Yeah,
you know
and that's kind of that rural Swiss aesthetic, I think, in a lot of ways. But also, that's generally more of a green hills sort of thing. That doesn't really match the aesthetic that we're kind of going for in the outside. And I think the answer is, I just like the idea of making it a nicer place. It's just a greener area. Because then it makes more sense. They have access to more resources. Yeah, I don't know. That just makes more sense to me.
Sure, so maybe it's not quite as gray.
Yeah.
Maybe there is still scrubby grass and gravel.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not.
There's also trees.
Yeah, that kind of like terraced hill where the buildings are on different tiers, and I can really picture that aesthetic, and it's just a very big version of that. Maybe there's some. I imagine there's some like clay work in some of the houses, but mostly just big kind of stone and brick and wood.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to me. I think that's a good feel. Like it's some clay, and this kind of some. Why did I say wild? I meant to say wood. Wood simple cottages and things like.
And I imagine also there are a lot of. I'm not gonna go so far as to say like redwood big, but a lot of big trees probably in the region because you have to have wood and support beams that are pretty thick to have like a building that a giant's gonna hold up in.
I see a couple of things coming out in the chat, and I didn't mean to skip over too many of them. V-Bunny, I saw you were saying earlier about the Council of Giants made to make the big giants feel better. Yeah, exactly. It's made to make them feel important, part of the hierarchy. But yeah, like Maddie Morris was saying, bamboo or woody mushroom stalks. That's a very interesting aesthetic. I'm not sure I want to quite go that in the specifically with the bamboo. I think that's too Asian inspired for these giants, given they're not really going to draw on any of those kind of cultural aesthetics. But
yeah.
Giant mushrooms could be very interesting. Like it could be hollowed out mushrooms that they live in.
Big mushrooms.
Could be, dried mushrooms that like function like wood.
The reason I'm a little reticent to give them big mushrooms is because we already have a lot of big mushrooms in the Baradak as a big major set piece there.
Do we?
Yeah, as like a whole thing.
Okay. Yeah, it's a fair point. Plus, it's kind of weird to put giant mushrooms on a mountain. And we do want these guys to be on a mountain. Like, we've decided that that's a core aspect to it.
This is true. I'm just looking at a picture of a Swiss village right now to get the exact aesthetic that was being talked about. It's just so nice, so very pleasant looking.
It's so pleasant. I'm gonna write Swiss village. All right.
Thatch, says V-Bunny. Yeah, a lot of thatch, I bet.
Yeah, thatch roof cottages and things could definitely work.
Things of that nature. And so, yeah, I was saying before, probably there's some big trees around the area because I feel like you got to have pretty thick grains of wood. If you're going to build like a multi-floor building, then that's going to hold up a giant.
They can use really big. They're not 2x4s or 4x4s in the giant. They're like 12x12s.
That's just like you just make the tree into the squarest piece you can,
and they put it down.
And you're kerchunk it.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, it's not a bad idea. It could probably work. I'm just picturing like the immense weight that a giant would actually have. Like I'm just picturing the physics of a giant, but I guess we can just gloss over it too, because that's like.
Oh, I was not thinking anything would be more than one story, so it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, I was just picturing if we're building 2-story buildings, but.
Yeah, I wasn't picturing anything bigger than a story in the upper city.
I like the idea of giant's stairs.
Giant stairs.
And that being a skill challenge.
That would be pretty good. Okay, so there are some large trees here. So maybe
as an adventure hook, just navigating a giant house is probably a fun adventure.
That does sound like a fun adventure. I will say, now that we're thinking a little bit, if there are large trees nearby or available, and we don't really care so much where it is, a location that could work here, we could have this on the Slumbering Spine kind of near the Wilderwood, if we wanted to give it a location in the lands of DnDTime that is more concrete, rather than in the generic north. Because then we got large trees, we've got...
On kind of a Wilderwood outskirts kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I imagine it's, exactly. It's more of on the Slumbering Spine, but it's like low on the Slumbering Spine.
Yeah, like bordering the Wilderwood. I get you. Yeah, that makes sense for me. I'm not attached to its location, certainly. Cybernetic Illithid, welcome. It says, IRL Goliath, ask me anything. What's it like? I would ask.
The worst question, but the first question always asked. How is it like? Do you ever bump your head on things and be like, why are these things so short? Fine. Just east of the Wilderwood. Excuse me. All right, so we talked a little about what the upper city looks like. What does the undercity look like? This is hollowed out part of the slumbering spine, and I think after we do this aesthetic discussion of the undercity, do we want to go on to Ask Pete and Jeremy? Pete, do we want to make this kind of like the last thing of the night?
Yeah,
because I think we're nearing that point where we're starting to stall out on like cool ideas coming in, at least for this specific concept.
Yeah,
not that there aren't still cool ideas, but they're getting more specific and less general.
Yeah, and we
really want more general concepts for this.
I agree. So the Undercity. Let's talk the Undercity.
Oh, actually, wait a minute. A Machu Picchu kind of vibe. That might not be a bad idea.
And that way you can still get the scares through the agriculture areas. Or Viking longhouses also could be cool. I don't know. Yeah, put it down. But I like where we're at with the Swiss kind of village. But I think Viking longhouses could be cool. Giant Vikings would be such a cool aesthetic. That sounds like almost less like an adventure than.
And maybe higher up on the mountain, like Bigtown goes like up the side of the mountain. So maybe higher up where the frost giants live, they're more Viking style stuff. And then as you get lower down, you get more to like a Swiss village feel. Right? I mean, I think that works for me.
Yeah, I can party down on that. Let's talk the underneath.
Yeah, so is this it's one giant hollowed out like cave mountain thing.
Yeah. Is it just Rome down there? We've been beating around the bush. Or I'm sorry, is it just ancient Greece down there?
I think it's just ancient Greece.
All right, we did it.
Like it's got beautiful marble buildings.
It's just all marble. The inside of the I imagine there's a lot of like fountains. There are, I think, because we're doing agriculture down here, we have our aqueducts. We have our probably there's points on the mountain that have been hollowed out such that natural light is able to like shine down into the space. Like how advanced is that? Because I imagine a way you could do that. You could do like an
well, we already have an location land of DnDTime that is in a hollowed out mountain.
Yes, we also have a location of DnDTime that is inspired by ancient Rome,
which is the Bullywug.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Julius Frogston. But I feel like this is going to feel very much unlike both of those.
I agree.
Because I think it being in a hollowed out mountain is not the only part of that is that it hides it from everything else. I think otherwise, I don't think it makes any real difference. One thing we could do is we could not have it have natural light. That might be an interesting take on it. It's just otherwise very dark, except for like they have, torches or things.
But I wanted to make Archimedean light refraction mirrors. Where it fires. Well, I guess my question is, if there's no natural light, how do they grow? Because this is where the agriculture is. How do they grow things inside? Are they growing things that don't require light, or are they manufacturing light artificially to make plants grow? Or they're druids?
Yeah, this gets funky. This gets a little funky because I don't want to trounce too hard on what I've already done for Ag, because Ag has the big crystal in the top that shines light down everywhere, and I don't want to do the same shtick here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I getcha. That's why I was just saying they just bore holes in so some sunlight can get in.
Yeah, I mean that just works. So yeah, natural light shines down through ducts, through holes drilled in wall and ceiling.
Simple.
That just works.
It's not a lot of light.
It's just very bright. Bright like day. Like we said before, it doesn't really matter that it's underground. We're not gonna worry too much.
Maddie Morg said also they might have natural gas inside. Cybernetic Elephant says bioluminescent koi and street side canals.
I actually love that concept.
That is a really cool aesthetic.
That could be a cool idea, though. They could have like street side canals. Maybe we have like a little bit of like Venice type feel.
I can party on that. Also, Maddie Morg says Greased by Gaslight, which, regardless of what that mean world building, that's the coolest band name I've heard in a while.
That is absolutely true.
Greased by Gaslight.
So yeah, maybe this underground, like ancient Greece aesthetic city is built like over like an underground lake. It is built on the underground lake. And so we have this like Venice kind of feel with like canals and things. That could give it a very unique aesthetic to it.
A fishing community.
Yeah, I mean, that could be very cool. And that could add a lot to like the underground, like underground underwater feel to it could be very cool. That just leads to a lot of different adventure topics.
I agree.
So,
and with that, I think that Bigtown is built out to the point where either of us could run a million things in Bigtown and never run out of ideas.
Yeah, I just want to say really quickly, giant bioluminescent koi. Just gonna put that in there because I love that very much. But yeah, I think this works a lot. I mean, aesthetically, there's a lot going on here. I think the things that like are very Grecian or Roman that like we've put in here, mainly the philosophy and the architecture, that doesn't stomp over, I don't think, what you've done with the bullywugs and the Veridac.
No, that's more of like the kind of bread and circus, more imperial aspects of Rome that they embody.
So I think as long as we don't stomp on that here, as long as we make sure we don't go into that direction, it's going to be perfectly fine. But otherwise, yeah, a ton of great concepts, a lot to play with in the future, and overall, a pretty interesting area. I mean, this will be a very fun place to explore at some point.
Absolutely. And
that, my friends, is Bigtown.
Bigtown is back in a major way. Bigtown's back.
Bigtown's back? Bigtown's back!
Shrike is back. And
yeah, well, you know what that means, Pete? That brings us to a very interesting segment of our show.
My favorite segment? Because it's our only segment?
Is a segment called
Ask Pete
It's Ask Pete and Jeremy. I don't know.
It was singing, Pete. The singing was going.
I don't know how long it goes.
I have no idea how that actually sounds in the stream. I need to listen to that one more time and just
one of these days we will do
really
this.
Dumb. Anyway, it's time to ask Pete and Jeremy. I said we put a link in the chat. You can follow that. Scroll down to our Ask Pete and Jeremy channel and drop us a question, and we will do our best to answer it. It can be about this that we just talked about. It can be about anything at all. It can be about our favorite or least favorite foods. It could be about Pete's, the color of Pete's shirt. I don't know. It could be anything.
I got a sweatshirt on today. It's kind of cold in my room.
Pete, did I miss anything about Ask Pete and Jeremy that we need to talk about real quick before that I forgot to say?
No, but I will say we got one question in there right now. I can see that V Turkey is posting one as well. So get your thoughts in. Otherwise, it looks like we might just have two.
All right, yeah. Let's talk about these questions. All right. Mashedmorgs asks, what are your thoughts about allowing int-based warlocks in DnDTime? In general, I support my question with the following, which is a quote, it's a Twitter screen grab from Jeremy Crawford, one of the lead rules, the lead rules designer for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, saying, warlocks use charisma in previous editions. Playtest feedback wanted that carried forward. Our preference was to use intelligence. And then saying, another quote, people asking if they think it would break it, and Jeremy Crawford saying, no, I don't think so. What are your thoughts, Pete?
In a home game, if someone came to me and said that, and also presented this Jeremy Crawford thing, I would probably say yes. I would want to think about it a little bit more. Because I would want to go over for myself to see if I could think of any reason why that would be broken. Although I think he's right. I think it would be fine. But for D&D time, the answer is we probably wouldn't do that. Just because we try and stick as close to rules as written as we can. Just because we like to keep things as simple. For anyone watching, especially for like newer players, make everything as clear and close to the rules as possible to keep it as accessible for those people as we can.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, never going to happen in D&D time. Hard stop. Yeah. Unless some, rule book comes out that gives that as a variant rule, which I'd be stoked for. In general, my personal feelings when it comes to spellcasting ability stuff, I mean, I don't really care. I mean, there are some exceptions to that, like a ranger being like, can all my spells be based on dexterity? No. But I don't care if the Rangers is based on intelligence or wisdom. That doesn't, to me as a person, that doesn't matter. I don't care. That doesn't destroy my illusion that you wanted to make a Ranger that's intelligent instead of wise, because intelligence versus wisdom is a fairly high-level abstraction either way. And I think either could make very reasonable Rangers. And I think the same goes for Warlocks, right? Obviously, the balance reason of what... Actually, I have no idea.
Yeah, there's no particular balance thing. It's just basically...
I mean, that's why they wanted to use int. Is int would balance out the intelligence, charisma, and for the spellcasting classes.
Because there's only one intelligence-based caster, and it's the wizard.
And that's the only reason I think they preferred it. But yeah, it really for me doesn't matter at all. There are a couple exceptions.
I kind of get why they picked charisma, because it's more of a spirit thing, but I agree.
Yeah, well, I mean, for example, paladins using charisma as their secondary, why isn't it wisdom? Especially if they're a more religiously focused paladin, and religion is wisdom is a spellcasting ability of clerics.
Well, I think that for me at least, the way I've always interpreted that is it's more of a force of will thing.
Oh, of course. But that's in 5th edition. In previous editions, paladins got their power from gods. That's not canon of 5th edition D&D.
But is
your force of self?
Was it wisdom in previous editions?
It didn't quite work the same way in previous editions.
Okay, yeah, I guess.
It's just kind of is there any reason, for me, I've no care which one that would be in a home game I would run. Both seem perfectly reasonable to me. They both have their same sets of trade-offs. Like Pete was saying, the only place I think that breaks, maybe, is with some funky multi-classing, where you could exploit that, but I don't play with players that would exploit my flexibility on that regard.
Yeah, also
games. So intelligence that's not ever going to be a problem.
Intelligence is the hardest stat to break. Anyway, my answer would probably be home, yes, D&D time, no. To bottom it out, V-Turkey asks, why are you afraid of the Bigtown being barren on the above ground region? I wouldn't say I'm afraid of it. It just didn't make a lot of logical sense to me. Was the reason why I didn't want to put it in that particular way.
It didn't have the aesthetic we wanted. We could have had it be, big lean-tos and stuff, but I want nice giant houses. And having it be barren doesn't really make sense that way. And of course, this is D&D time. A lot of things don't make sense, but I mean, a little sense.
I feel personally more invested in a location and an idea if all of it seems like it could work.
Yeah, exactly. It needs that suspension of disbelief, right? It needs that verisimilitude of this could be a thing. Assuming you were in a magical fantasy world.
In the greater context of what we have created on the whole,
Yeah, precisely.
Scarecrowley asks, still fearful 13, you change up that Halloween name, Sid.
It's just very scared, man.
Any shows you are hyped for? Animes, I guess. There's some animes I'm excited about.
I know the Golden Compass show is coming out. I hope it's good because that could be cool. I'm sorry, his Dark Materials. They're not calling it Golden Compass. And that's on HBO Go. That could be really, really good.
I did not know that was a thing.
I think it's coming out today. I think it's out now. I'm not positive about that though. It's very, very soon if it's not today. But
the Golden Compass was good.
Incredible. Very good book.
Yeah, but the movie was rough.
Very bad.
It was just it was all of like the whimsical fantasy of the Golden Compass without the religious subtext that made it cool. Yeah, I.
And then
would
there's
be
the
into that.
Witcher series on Netflix, which I'm hoping is going to be good.
We will see on that one.
From the most recent trailer, it seemed pretty good. So, I mean, it didn't seem terrible. So I'm crossing my fingers it's going to be good.
Which was
I don't watch a lot of TV, so that's all I got.
For any anime, I don't know how far away it is, but I recently found out that they're making a new Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, which I was a big fan of, and they'll probably do another season of that. So that's pretty rad.
Yeah.
V Turkey asks, "What is with your shirt, Pete?" This is a sweatshirt. I got this sweatshirt in 5th grade. I was always this big. I was a large child. And I've had it forever. And this is my sweatshirt.
There we go.
That's all I got.
And then Crowley asks, when will you be making Small Town? Probably won't, to be frank. And then, what is your favorite Thanksgiving food? Also asked by Crowley. I really like... Oh, shit. Stuffing is very good.
I mean,
that's what I got.
Does
stuffing count? Like, can I say that?
No, you can say. Of course, you can say that.
Okay.
It feels like such a cop-out to pick turkey, but it is like everything else at Thanksgiving I eat throughout the year. Like, I'll have stuffing on a day that isn't Thanksgiving. Mashed potatoes. I'm not into the sweet potato casserole thing, so that's out the window. So really it's turkey, because that's like the centerpiece. That's the reason you go to Thanksgiving. I'll put as a subset, my mom makes a baller broccoli casserole that I'm very down on, but I pick's turkey.
Oof. I see some comments in the chat on a bad movie. Talking about bad movies, Avatar: The Last Airbender, Aragon. Oh, God. I'm so sorry for all of us for loving these things, and then those happen. Anyway, and Crowley also asks, what's a good play on words for my name for Thanksgiving? Oh, he wants to steal my name. So Crowley is Farful13.
Farful with 2 L's, 13.
100%. Yep, that's it.
Fucking, I just got that one. FMK, I don't know what that means.
What about pies?
What Jeremy, do you know what FMK is?
Fuck, marry, kill. You have to kill one.
Oh.
You get a one time with another, and you have to marry the third. And your choices are Christmas, Thanksgiving, and Halloween. See, Pete, I thought you knew what it meant, and you were just skipping past it. But I guess we're doing it.
No, I didn't know what FMK was.
That's what it is.
What
do you kill?
I mean, I know what it is now. Oh, shit.
I kill Halloween.
Well, yeah, because I'm marrying Thanksgiving.
Yep, 100%.
And I don't have it in me to kill Christmas as much as I don't want to fuck Christmas.
Maybe I kill Christmas.
I kill Christmas because I'd fuck Halloween for sure.
This is terrible. Why have you done this?
Why did you make me kill Christmas?
I'm going to kill Halloween.
What about pies?
What about pies? I don't know. I like pies.
I like chocolate cream. I like chocolate cream pies. I like apple pies.
Nice hot apple pie with a scoop of vanilla ice cream on top.
It's not a Thanksgiving seasonal, but I enjoy a strawberry rhubarb pie. I cannot party down on a pumpkin pie. That's just my whole thing. I'm not a big pumpkin pie boy.
Pope of Potatoes, you already have your name set for this Thanksgiving. Or, I'm sorry, welcomes taking in the lands of DnDTime. We got 2 more questions and one coming in from Crowley, and then that will be the last one for the evening, and we'll wrap up.
Indeed. Turkey asks, what about cranberry in a can, that cranberry jello stuff? Do you eat that normally, Pete?
Are you talking about one of the best terrible things?
I like it for sure.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
it looks like it should be cat food, and it like quivers like it should be.
Oh, it's so good when it slurps out of the can and it just
and it slurps and it just comes out as a cylinder, and it's so.
And it kind of like wiggles a little bit when you put it down. Yeah, I absolutely adore it. My 100%. Mom makes really beautiful cranberry sauce out of fresh cranberries. She mashes them up and does all the ingredients. And every year, I'm like, Mom, I just want a can of jelly, and I don't eat any of her really nice cranberry sauce. And
it's I've tried really nice like handmade fresh cranberry sauce. It's just not that shit I like.
I'm with you.
I like that garbage in a can. If you leave it up too long and start speaking eldritch phrases, Cyber and Gillithan, oh goodness. You got to be careful with the cranberry. That's why you have to eat it really fast. Otherwise, you get corrupted.
Otherwise, it's Lovecraftian.
Mashage Morgs asks, can you give a quick elevator pitch on what welcomes taking is for new folks here? Maddie, let me tell you. During welcomes taking in the lands of DnDTime, you are welcome to take whatever someone has on their table. It's a wonderful time of year of giving. You put things out on your table, and anyone is welcome to take what they'd like. People maybe take it a little too far, though, breaking into people's houses and stealing whatever is on their tables. But overall, it's got a very rich theme.
When done right, it's
spirit.
In a lot of I picture in a lot of small towns throughout the land of DnDTime, all of the local families just will bring a table outside in front of their house, and you just would walk around and just, oh, I'll sample some of this. Oh, you've made beautiful necklaces, handicraft. I'll take one and wear it and treasure it. Thank you. And that's the ideal of what welcomes taking is. But yeah, there is some breaking and entering.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on where you are. Everyone has their own welcomes taking traditions. Bartholomew locks the shop down like a bunker. Everyone's got their own. His
table's got a lot of magic items on them. And our last question of the night, Scarecrowley asks, or now Fearful 13 is what you'll be known as throughout the realm. Pies are a Thanksgiving food, and you didn't even mention them in favorite foods. That aside, how do you feel about ham? I'm not a fan.
Yeah, no, I mean, ham is probably the least good thing that comes out around Thanksgiving. It's gonna be spicy. Turkey's way better.
I thought the question was going to be related to the pies thing, but that was just a dig on us for not picking pies as our favorite Thanksgiving food.
It's true though.
Stuffing
is my favorite uniquely Thanksgiving food.
I'll eat ham. I don't really associate ham with Thanksgiving, and I wouldn't want to party down on a ham on Thanksgiving. But a nice boiled dinner, St. Patrick's Day, oh yeah, I can get down on that.
I mean, ham is fine, but I think ham is inferior to turkey. Right? On the whole, I bet you there are days on which and there are meals with which I would rather have ham than turkey. But just on the daily, I would generally pick turkey over ham. Are you talking a turkey and a ham, or cold cut turkey and cold cut ham? Because there's a big difference between.
The answer is, actually, I'd say the same thing on both of those. I would rather have cold cut turkey than cold cut ham, and I would rather have a whole turkey than a whole ham.
Oh, yeah, I think I'm on the same page, actually. Never mind.
And then the difference.
I thought you were saying the opposite, and I was going to.
It's not as huge of a gap, but there is a gap.
I mean, I think the whole turkey trashes the whole ham, but when it gets to cold cuts, they're much more similar.
I believe that was our last question of the night. So with that, we're going to start wrapping things up for the evening.
Thank you, everybody, for hanging out this evening, for contributing to our wonderful creation of Bigtown. Interested when that's going to be coming up in DnDTime. We got a very jam-packed end of the year, so it might not show up until the new year, but we'll see. It might show up before then. Very interested to see how we end up using it. Of course, thank you all thank you the N7 for the follow and for the cheer. We genuinely appreciate your support and that you found us interesting enough to hit that follow. So thank you.
Thank you.
To everyone else, check us out. We do shows throughout the week. Oh my gosh, I lost my brain there.
No, I'm with you.
Shows
I'm
throughout the
I'm
week
with that.
here on Twitch, twitch.tv/DnDTime. You should check our Discord server. We do announcements every Monday about what the upcoming week is going to look like. So check there for our weekly content schedule. We got stuff that's going to be going on throughout the end of the year. It's going to be very busy, very exciting. So make sure to tune in.
And
that's all I got.
Jeremy, for this upcoming Friday, Pete and Jeremy's D&D time, do we have the battle?
We may be having our mythic boss battle this Friday. We're going to be reaching out to people actually today about that. So
yeah. So stay tuned for that, but those are fun. If you get a chance to tune in on Friday to our game where we run shots, we might be having a very big, very fun kind of all-day event with a boss battle on that day, but that will remain to be seen.
Absolutely. And of course, that's Pete and Jeremy's D&D time that he's referring to. We run it every Friday here, rain or shine, hail or wind, or I don't know, whatever else weather happens. We always run the show and it's a blast. So tune in. It's going to be great.
Yep.
That's all.
And yeah, with that, I'm Pete.
I'm Jeremy. This is
D&D Time
Worlds.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.